All right, great.
Wow,
All right.
we're
Boker
good.
Tov to those of you in California, and Erev Tov, good evening to those of you in Israel, and to those of you here on the East Coast, good afternoon. And to everybody, welcome to today's conversation on cross-cultural collaboration in the creative world. And we'll be talking today with American filmmakers and Israeli composers who are, in fact, collaborating across cultures as students, in fact, across 7 time zones, on a very specific project with a very specific outcome, and that's the creation of original scores for senior or master's thesis or capstone films. The students we're talking with today are either the filmmakers are students or recent grads at the University of Georgia's Grady College, and the composers are students or recent grads at the Jerusalem Academy of Music and Dance. And we have a very special guest, George Clinton, longtime composer, who will give us his insight into how film and music work together and intertwine to create effective storytelling. I'm going to tell you more about George shortly, but I want to give you just a little background on the Backstory group. We founded Backstory in 2015 with the goal of helping expand understanding of Israeli culture among Americans. And we have done this through creating connections between American and Israeli creators. Before COVID, we did this through trips to Israel with American student and professional filmmakers and film score composers like George, who was with us on our 2016 trip. And while we're on these trips, we visit film schools and music schools where our students and the Israeli students interact with each other, show each other their work, discuss their work, and our professionals like George give lectures or are on panels or give master classes. It's been a really great way for people to get to know each other. Since COVID, we haven't been able to travel. We hope to do that again shortly. We hope to start those trips back up in the fall, and we hope some of the students participating in this program will be able to go on that trip. During COVID, we launched several virtual programs, and among them was the Back Room, which pairs American film students with Israeli film score composers, and that's the program that we're talking about today. We renewed it. We started it in 2021, and we renewed it this academic year. So today's participants have been working together since, I think, early spring, and they are now finished with their projects. Now, I want to give you just a short introduction to George, not too long, because that would take all day, but here's the short version. George Clinton is an award-winning composer who has scored over 100 films, most notably Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery and its blockbuster sequels, Disney's hit Santa Claus and its sequels, Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, Wild Things, Red Shoe Diaries, John Waters' A Dirty Shame, and the Emmy Award-winning and heartbreaking Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. George was born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he began his professional career as a singer-songwriter in Nashville while earning degrees in music and drama from Middle Tennessee State University. Upon moving to LA, he became a staff songwriter for Warner Brothers Music with songs recorded by the likes of Michael Jackson and Joe Cocker. It was the music from his last album as a recording artist that attracted the attention of Cheech and Chong, giving him the chance to score his first film. In addition, Mr. Clinton was an advisor for many years to the Sundance Composers Lab, and I think the Sundance Composers Lab has just ended after many, many decades. Is that right, George?
Yeah, afraid so.
It's sad. He serves on the music executive branch of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the Oscars, and was chair of the film scoring department at the Berklee College of Music in Boston for 3 years. His awards include Grammy and Emmy nominations, the Society of Composers and Lyricists Ambassador Award, the Spirit of Tennessee Award, and 9 BMI Film Music Awards, including their highest honor, the BMI Icon Award for Career Achievement. Rotten Tomatoes says one of my favorite things about George, which is that he ranks as one of the most innovative, versatile, and popular film score composers of the 80s and 90s. He specializes in creating fresh new sounds from a variety of often disparate musical elements. And that is true. And I think we can learn a lot from him. So today, our student participants, who are mostly just now no longer students, are Sheldyn Sam Moore and her partner in creation, Tom Zylberstein, Jackson Mulkey and his composer, Neil Pessach, Eli Saliba and his composer, Zohar Elnatan. They've been working together now for a bit, so we're looking forward to talking with them. Rather than me doing long introductions of each of you, I would like it if each of you would give a very brief description of yourself, just where you're from, what made you want to be, and why are you becoming a filmmaker or a composer, and very briefly, what were your initial thoughts about participating in the back room when you learned about the backroom pairing program. Let's keep this part short because we're going to discuss that more later. But for now, let's just get started with these. And if all six of you can answer these in sequence, I'll tell you who first, and then we'll go on to have a look at your clips and discuss your work with George. Sam, if you could start, that would be great.
My name is Sam Moore, and I am a director. And I'm aspiring to continue being a director, and in the hopes of, going really far in this career. I don't want to pivot from it. So I'm trying really hard to continue on that path. I will graduate in this upcoming August. And I wanted to do this program because I really wanted to expand my relationships. And Tom was really, really great. We had great communication, especially from our distance. We had phenomenal communication, and we made it really, really easy for us to schedule times where we could meet. And when it came to giving his thoughts to clips that I've had, and we had a really good collaboration, at least on my end. But this was really exciting for me to understand the other side of it and how to make a film really come together. So it's just allow me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sam. Tom, what about you?
Okay, so my name is Tom, or Tom. A musician originally from Jerusalem. Now I'm living in Rishon LeZion near Tel Aviv, and I just love music. I love everything that is related to music. Every genre there is, basically, I try to work with, and and I also love music for a film, especially because you get to tell a story. That's what everyone says, but it's true. And yeah, just like Sam said, it was really, really smooth. The way we worked together, our process was really great. We were on the same page, and we didn't need a lot of corrections in the music or in the editing. So yeah, it was a good experience. And yeah, what did I forget anything?
No, you got it.
Oh, and thanks, Wendy, for making this happen and connecting between everyone. And
well, it's a pleasure to connect people who are talented. I myself don't do music or film, so I love being able to put together people who do. That's really cool for me. Okay, so Eli, if you could talk to us next and tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Eli. I'm also at the University of Georgia with Sam, and I'm about to graduate with my master's in August as well. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia originally, and the reason I like filmmaking is the same as Tom, is because I like to find new and unique ways to tell stories, and because there's so many stories out there to be told, and so just being a part of that is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hesitant about the distance in terms of working with a composer in Israel, but so far with Zohar, it's been amazing, and we've been on the same page about the story and the emotions of my film, and it's been going really great so far. So it's been a pleasure working with him, and thank you, Wendy, for putting this together.
That's great. That's good to hear. Okay, Zohar, let's hear from you.
Okay, my name is Zohar. I'm from Jerusalem. As you can figure, I'm not the average student age, but I came back to study, and I'm about to graduate in this August. After many years out of school, I'm a musician. I'm playing jazz. I graduated from the academy in in the Faculty of Jazz. But I saw that my music is like a lot of, it's very hard to classify it as a specific genre. So I decided I might be able to make some music for movies. And I have my sister's husband is a very famous filmmaker also in documentary movies. So I had an opportunity to write music before I even started studying. And it was interesting. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to really engage with someone that I don't know in different culture and try to see how can I collaborate. And for me, it was a great experience, really good experience. And I learned a lot from it because it really gives you also, you have to be very accurate and try to read other people's vision, and I think it was a great lesson, a great experience for me.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay, that is wonderful. Thank you, Zohar. Jackson, can you give us a little about yourself?
So yeah, my name is Jackson Mulkey. I'm a 22-year-old filmmaker. I just graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in entertainment and media studies. And when I first found out about this opportunity to do Backroom, I was definitely a little bit nervous because I'd never worked with a composer before, but I was honestly just really excited because the thought of getting to work with somebody who specifically does music and have them create a piece for my project was a really exciting idea. And I think it definitely exceeded my expectations getting to work with Neil. So it's been a really great experience.
That's wonderful. Okay, let's hear from Neil. And then I'm actually, George, I'm going to ask you to say just a couple of words about what advice you would give to people who are just starting to work with each other before we have a look at some of the clips. Neil, you're up.
Hi, so I'm Neil. I'm from north of Israel, originally and also now. So I had an experience also playing piano and also writing for theater, but not for movies. And I really wanted to try this. I really like movies and scores, but I haven't tried it. And it was the first opportunity to do hands-on in the academy. I learned the first degree also in the academy composition. And one of my favorite lessons were the literature of like history of movies, music. So I really liked to try it, and it was great with Jackson. It was really smooth and really, it was a great experience. And the trust that we had instantly, it was amazing. And I think that the language of like telling stories and the movies and the music and especially the emotions in the stories had like a bridge over the differences of time and differences in age and differences in experience, I think. And that's it. Thanks.
That's very good to know. George, what can you tell us about how people should work together and how new filmmakers and new composers, not necessarily new, but new to this area,
First of all, I want to say congratulations to all these participants on creating the scenes you created and the music you created to go with the scenes. I think you all did a fantastic job. Wendy sent me the link to them, and I got to watch them a couple of times. And so that said, I also want to say that congratulations on having the courage to step into a situation like this, where you're literally going into the unknown and making it work. Every one of you talked about how much you enjoyed it and how much you got out of working with the person you worked with. So the congratulations in that case certainly goes to Wendy for putting this program together because it's working exactly the way that it should. The international language obviously is music, and one of the things I remember a director telling me was that the biggest leap of faith that the director takes in his or her film is in hiring a composer. The director said, I can affect the camera, I can affect, with knowledge of how it works. I can affect the script, I can affect the way the actor's acting. I'm not a musician, so I don't speak music. And so I feel really nervous about trying to involve a composer. He said that I go with the one that my gut tells me is going to be the best one and just hope for the best. And I had an experience that was similar to this. We were having our house remodeled, and I don't do anything in construction. I can barely hang a picture. And so I knew I wanted to explain to myself, to this this construction guy, designer, what I wanted for this renovation, for this addition to the house. And I was increasingly frustrated because I couldn't speak construction to this person. And so we finally went with somebody that we felt a connection with. And I realized, gosh, that must be what it's like when a director hires a composer. When a director chooses a composer, you just hope you've made the right decision and that this person's going to deliver, and that you'll be able to, if they don't, at least direct them towards what it is that you want. My feeling about the composer-director relationship is that it's based on trust, and that the composer is actually the last actor in your movie. And I think the director serves themselves the best if they direct that composer in emotional and dramatic terms, rather than trying to direct them in musical terms. It's the composer's job to translate these dramatic instructions into music. It's not the director's job to know anything about music. And one of the things that I think is important for composers is to be able to listen to this information coming to you in dramatic terms and be open to what that inspires within you, so that when you're providing them with something, you're providing them with something that has those dramatic elements in it. It's not just a cool piece that you've come up with, that you're letting those instructions or those suggestions permeate you and be part of what you're expressing. It's a very interesting relationship between a composer and a director. And I think that it's wonderful that you guys have already had this wonderful experience, because sometimes it can be extremely frustrating. I can tell you that for sure.
Thank you, George. I think that we should have a look at some of the work that you guys have done together, and I want to start with Little Drummer Boy, which is Sam's film with music by Tom. And I think we won't have you tell us anything about it before we see the clip, and then we'll maybe get some insight from you two, and also some impressions from George about how the music and film work together after. So, Rhonda, if you can. We can get us up here.
Hey there, what can I get you?
Hey, can I just get a coffee with some cream and sugar?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Here you go.
Rough day?
All right. So Sam.
Yeah, so this scene was the meeting scene of the two love interests. My vision for this is I really didn't want it to sound like exterior music. There's a name for it, Tom. You say it all the time.
Energetic.
Yeah, diegetic. I really wanted it to feel like it was like a radio or like there was something playing in the background. And I really wanted it to feel like a coffee shop with the ambiance of like people in the background, but not too crazy. I wanted this to feel very like intuitive and very, very like in the moment. I didn't want to make something that it's not. I wanted it to be very realistic.
I really like that phrase that you didn't want to make it something that it's not. I think sometimes I'm not in any way an expert on this, but it seems to me sometimes the music, if you're not careful, can be manipulative. But I want to hear what George has to say about that. But Tom, let's hear from you about what you were accomplishing, working on here to accomplish.
Basically, I was told by Sam to just go and have fun, just improvise a little jazz trio. I do have a background playing jazz piano, so went back to my roots sort of. And yeah, it was like a track on its own, but it still somehow interacts with the dialogue in a very subtle way. I tried at least to help push a few like certain phrases and words and sentences a little bit to enhance the conversation where it was possible without making it sound like source music.
What is your take on this, George? What do you think about this scene?
I think it's a great idea, especially when people are just meeting, and especially when it's in a place like a coffee shop, just to have music playing in the background that doesn't mean anything other than just helping the ambience of the moment. But it's great that Tom was able to actually manipulate it so that there were moments in it that seemed to play as score. We have a word for that in Hollywood. We call it scores. Source music is diegetic music, music coming from some source on the screen, in this case, the speakers in the coffee shop, but it's also score, so we call it scores. And what you've done is you've taken a piece of source and because you manipulated it, you've made it scores. One thing I would suggest, however, is you'll probably notice how the percussion sounds pop out. They seem to be a little bit loud compared to, say, the piano and the other elements you have in there. You can help that a lot, not just in terms of the mix, but you can compress it to the point that the percussion sounds wouldn't be quite as pointed as they are. But that would be my only suggestion. I thought it played great.
It was lovely. I love that scene, and your actress is so lovely and
She's
so,
yeah, both of them are really, really terrific.
yeah, really.
I bought it totally.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's watch the next clip from that, Rhonda, the one that we accidentally watched first. Let's go ahead and watch that now that we have some setup and background. And it is supposed to be dim lighting.
Jake, I just don't know about this. Wait, what are you doing?
Just gotta loosen up a little bit.
Kind of cold in here, don't you think?
I got you. Alright, so go inside, and I'll be there in a second.
Wait, where are you going?
I'll be back.
What do you mean?
Wow. Okay. Also, Sam.
Yeah, so this scene, he is saying, hey, let's go do something crazy to get her out of this funk that she's in. And I told Tom that I wanted it to sound like she's unsure at first. she's hesitant, and then she gets vulnerable when he like takes off the vest and puts on something more comfortable, lets her hair down. I wanted this song to drastically change to something where the audience is more comfortable to relax. Also, on my end, I had some issues with my lav mics, so it's a little scratchy on my end, but I did fix that in post. Tom hasn't seen the final cut yet, so that's something I'm gonna listen to on my end. But he did a good job of like hitting that. I know we had an old cut. This was actually a pickup, and when I tried to put the music to it, it didn't match. So this was the one scene where Tom had to do it a couple times for us to really like get something that I was like, okay, I'm really feeling this. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. It's a lovely scene. Tom.
For me, this scene was like the transition in the short film. It began where everything that could go wrong goes wrong, basically. And this is the point where things start to take a turn, and not just in this movie, but in the character's life also. And it starts off, it tried to make it sound like even a little bit scary at the beginning, but then when he puts the jacket or takes the jacket off, I already forgot. But when the piano starts, the piano was basically, you sent me a track that had a similar piano vibe to it, and I did try to do with the themes of this film, something similar, like a temp guide, basically. And yeah, I'm happy with the way it worked out.
Great. George, what was your take on that?
I love the scene. I really love the way the actors are able to make that turn, the way you've edited it, so it starts off a little like hesitant, almost scary. Like, what's this dude going to do? Right?
That was the point with the red lights too, to try to like make them uncomfortable a little, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it is. I mean, when I first saw it, having not knowing anything about the story, that was the vibe I got. And then with the way you edited it and the way that the actors acted it and the way that Tom turned it musically, suddenly it's a natural musical segue from this feeling of mysterious danger almost into this tenderness, and vulnerability. And that's hard to do, especially in a situation that's that naked, it's just dialogue and music. And you've got to make that turn seem natural. And congrats, Tom, you did it.
Great. And
Thank you
Sam,
so
I
much.
just have one question. Is the actor one of the guys from Hero the Band?
No, but he looks kind of similar with the dreads and like, yeah. Yeah, no.
The actors are good. That was great.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you guys. I can't wait to see the whole film.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, really interesting. I want to know what's going to happen to her. I'm a little worried about her.
And both of those actors have a future in my
Yeah.
They're very talented.
Yeah, I thought so.
She just finished the film yesterday, like completely finished it. So I'm super excited to show it. So
Excellent.
thank y'all for that.
we want to keep up with what's going on with that. Okay, so next we're gonna see a clip from Stay, which is Eli's film, scored by Zohar. And Rhonda, so you've got those clips. I think they're listed one after the other.
Yeah, so the scene is kind of very near the climax of the film, and in this moment, the main character who you saw there is feeling very alone and isolated, and he's waiting for that girl we saw to come back. And so me not knowing anything about music at all, I kind of just had to convey these emotions to Zohar so he could translate them into what we heard there. I knew I had taken a lot of inspiration in terms of the film from other movies, such as Punch Drunk Love, which was scored by John Bryan. So we really talked about using a lot of percussion to kind of build the emotions of this moment here that we see. And I'll let Zohar talk a little more on that. But yeah, it's a moment of kind of a hectic feeling and a moment of waiting. So.
Okay, so Zohar, give us some insight into what you were doing here.
Yeah, okay, so actually in the beginning we had a lot of conversations about references. I wanted to hear from Eli what his vision, what kind of music he likes, what was his idea, and he referred me to different movies that he liked. And we talked, I did ask him about instrumentation, and he said he wanted some kind of percussion. So I put together the vision and the inspiration he had from other music that he mentioned. And I realized that in this particular movie, just any percussion won't be really the right thing. And I started to use samples from different sounds that I created in my room. Actually, some of it is banging on a lamp or I don't know, and some of it is even from my mouth. And then I combined it with the guitar that you heard there, and there are other instruments later on you will see. And this guy in this movie is actually have a very complicated relationship with this woman. And you can see it's not a usual relationship. So I looked for an unusual kind of music, in my opinion. I don't know.
Okay, and yes, that is true. And we're not doing the reveal. So so George, what was your take on this?
Well, first of all, it's really unique, both the scene itself and the way Zohar handled the music. So congratulations. I think the music perfectly reflects the surreal quality of, at least at that point, what I'm seeing the scene is about. And I love the idea of you using samples of yourself and hitting things and all that stuff. I'm a big fan of that too. It's great when a composer allows the film to suggest things to them that they may not do just on their own. And for the composer to listen to the director when the director says, I really like John Bryan's score to this movie, or maybe you should check out how Tommy Newman handled that, or, I think that's very important too. When I say talk in dramatic terms, also having the director point to pieces of music that they like is another good way of getting in the director's head about what you want to create to help, say it. But I love the fact that it was a vernacular you created specifically for this film, and that to me is the best, is one of the most satisfying ways of scoring, is when you've created a combination of sounds that probably never existed before in the history of the world. So I think that can be very satisfying for a composer. And also when a director is open to that, then it becomes a real creative collaboration. I don't know what that sound is in the very beginning. It's like a whoo, whoo. So what is that?
Yeah, well, that I can't answer.
Okay.
You'll have to wait and see.
Eli wants everybody to see the finished film before the mysteries are revealed, but you will get a huge kick out of it,
One
George.
thing I wanted to say at the end of this scene is to where one of the most powerful tools we have as a composer is silence. And one of the most powerful things a director can choose to do is not have music at a scene that might have had music. At the end of this scene where he's taking the tie off, and it's all frustration, about the tie, using the sound effects of that tie is so much more effective than a piece of music would have been there. It's so satisfying when he finally gets it off, that sound of it coming around his neck. I think that, using sound to tell the story there is a very strong choice for a director.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was great, guys. Okay, Rhonda, let's see the next one.
This is great.
No, Amara.
Story again. One where everything's gonna be alright.
I love you.
Okay, that was cool. Eli, can you tell us?
This is a much more sentimental moment for the characters. This is the moment that I see as their like, you see their connection the most that they have and see their true love. The film is really about love and isolation and how those two things affects a person. So this is their peak love moment, in my opinion. And the score here just kind of gives it that mellow feel, that melancholy, not melancholy, mellow feel that he's feeling, kind of like he's he's high, honestly, on love for her. And he's just kind of in a daze while she's just, the juxtaposition between what's going on the TV and what she's feeling is just different than hers. So the music kind of fits more so what he's feeling there. And I think Zohar did an amazing job, just kind of giving that feeling of love that he's feeling, that unanimous feeling of just bliss that he's feeling for her.
Thank you, Eli. Great. Zohar, is that what you were trying to accomplish? Because I think you did.
Yeah. Well, the only challenge here for me was to try and keep the same instrumentation that I had before, but in this scene to bring up something more like love, like a love theme or something like this, with the same samples and the same instruments. So it was a challenge, but I did my best.
Yeah, you did great.
George, what do you think?
Well, you did your best and you really succeeded too. There is a quirkiness about this guy. I love the way you've directed this actor, Eli, because he's got this overly romantic thing going on. His whole romance is in a fantasy he's living out about this woman. And one of the things that Zohar was able to do at this moment with his love theme with these odd instruments, is to bring out this sort of quirky fantasy this guy is living out with this woman who's watching television, and he looks up at her and her face is totally, the way you've got her face in there is fantastic. She's disinterested at that point. She doesn't know that he's, has this, maybe she does, maybe that's the way she reacts. I don't know the rest of the film, but I do know that in this scene, you guys really captured this sense of his impossible romance, his fantasy, and this music that's a sort of a bossa nova, twisted bossa nova playing, in the background. I really loved that.
Thank you.
I also wanted to say, I think the actors, so far we've seen four really just incredible actors. I think it's remarkable that you've got some seriously good people, you guys, and let's have a look at some more. So Jackson and Neil, we're gonna have a look at the first clip of Let's Go. Let Go, not Let's Go, Let Go.
Yeah, make sure you play the most updated ones.
Yes, we are. Yes, we've got those.
What? Peter, what are you looking at me like that for?
Sorry. I just wish moments like this would last forever.
Well, take a picture. It'll last longer, you creep. Peter, I'm sorry. I need to go.
Wait, what? Amy, what's wrong?
You know this isn't right. I need to leave.
Amy. Hey, no, please. Hey. Amy. Amy, please don't go.
Peter, what's up, man? Ooh, do I smell hot chocolate?
Amy just left. I don't know what's going on. I gotta get her back.
I'm not sure if that's a...
Amy, talk to me. I don't understand.
Peter, is this even real?
To me,
Peter, you need to let me go.
Yeah, so what was great about this process was I had actually totally gotten to complete this film before I even started working with Neil. And so he got to totally, got to watch the whole film by itself and really tailor the music to the film itself. And we had several conversations before we really got into it, but the big things that I told him were I really wanted a sense of kind of the emotional state of this main character, Peter, and I kind of want the audience to kind of get in his head and feel what he feels. And using the music here is a great way to do that. I think Neil did a really great job with that. And really evoke kind of a sense of nostalgia, like remembering the past, remembering happy memories. And so we kind of talked about composers that I really like Michael Giacchino, and we talked about how I really wanted piano to be one of the main instruments used in the score, but I tried to stay out of the music part of it as much as I could because I really just wanted to give him a lot of freedom. And so he introduced some really cool things into the score that I didn't expect, but I think were honestly perfect for what I was looking for. I think it turned out really well.
Thank you. Okay. Tell us.
So, the challenge, I think the main challenge that we started with is the two realities that we're trying to evoke. I don't know. The one reality that we now I don't want to spoil, but the first reality, which is not, it's not really the reality. It's the sense of love and sense of memory of Peter, and without interfering the real emotions. So I had to do like work in two different realities. So you hear the sound, you hear the dissonance in the start, but you also have the piano, which is really like the real thing, the real emotion, the real reality, and we'll see later how it evolves. But it was hard when when we talked about like the 5 stages of grief. And so Jackson wanted a lot of in these 5 minutes of film, he wanted a lot of things happening emotionally, and I think most of it came out. I think it could be really, I don't know, to pile up some very complicated emotions and in the same time, and also the friendship with the other guy, with the Andre. So it's like a lot of things happening together in a very short time, and what I in the start with all these thoughts and all these requests and all this talking, I wanted to be like simple and not interfering. So at the first I just intuitively played with the film, and some of it just stayed like this. It's a bit like theater in the start, and after that a lot of changes, but it was a great opportunity, and yeah.
Thank you. And I really, really like this, and I'm very curious about what's really going on. George, what's your take on it?
The first time I saw it, I was really intrigued by the use of the piano in the beginning. It was setting up this whole sort of romantic moment, and the pad you have in the background, the sort of long notes. I don't know what that is, but it's a wonderful sort of pad sound, and the way you space the phrases of the piano in the very beginning, that is sort of tentative under the title "Let Go." You know, it's a piano plays, and then you hear that sound, and piano plays again. So you give us it's almost like you're inviting us into this moment, and I think that's what music is really good at doing, is inviting you into this moment. And I think you really nailed it there. And the way you edited it with the hands coming together, you know, you set us up for this being something that I don't think it winds up being, which is this love relationship between these two people. And once again, here's a moment where the emotion turns, and suddenly she's saying, this isn't right. And I think that both in the way that it was directed and acted, and also in the way I think Neil handled it musically, wow, it's like this, wait a minute, you know, you've been leading us up to this beautiful relationship that they have, and now that all of a sudden it's different. And then she literally gets up and leaves, and I think the way you use the dissonance in the pad there, and I think the piano kind of disappears at that point. It's really nice because you've taken us to a different place emotionally and musically, and what was the tender romantic piano is not necessarily a part of this, as I remember it. So and the friendship between the guy and, you know, both the guys, I think it was great to kind of lay out for a while there and let that just be the reality, because you've had us in this sort of bittersweet fantasy really up until this point. And then when he goes out and starts to talk to her again, you bring us back to it being bittersweet and a little disturbing now. You know, we don't know what it's about. We don't know why this has gone wrong. I don't know what happens when he looks on the phone and sees a name, but I do know the music changes there for a moment and acknowledges it. Is that a story point?
That was something. So that was one of the things that if I had the chance to go back and do it again, I meant for it to be clear that it was his roommate who was calling him, and
Oh,
the
I
way we
see.
filmed it, you couldn't see the screen, and I realized we didn't really establish his name very well, but it was meant to be that his roommate was calling him, and the main focus of that moment was, at the end of the day, it could be anybody calling him, but
Right.
Peter is putting it aside because he's trying to be in this moment with her. He's
Well, that-
shoving everyone else away.
Well, that's what I got. And I think the music helps there. You don't realize that it's something that you wish you could have redone. And when music really works, it's working on a practical level too. I have had to cover up a lot of places where the director wishes they'd had a chance to go back and take it again. And the music has actually eased us through that moment. So I really, really like the way that that it works visually and also practically and emotionally. So congratulations. It's really a good collaboration.
It is. And let's go ahead and see the second one of that. And we're going to wrap up pretty quickly after that. But I do want to ask George a couple of questions after we talk about the final clip of Let Go.
Peter, you need to let me go.
Mind if I stay here for a minute? Did I ever tell you I saw this beautiful butterfly? I've never seen one here before. But I just so desperately wanted to grab it, but you can't, or you'll crush it. But if you hold out your open hand, it might choose you. Life is weird like that, you know? But who knows? Maybe that butterfly will come around sometime. I'm good to wait either way. Hey Peter, I'm headed to that concert if you want to come.
That sounds fun.
Is Amy going to come?
No, actually, I'm not seeing her anymore.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That was lovely. Jackson, just
To let me go.
So a big thing that was really important with me when I was coming up with the ideas for this film was kind of creating a parallel structure in terms of the story and the way that the scenes were laid out, and also even the shot compositions. And so if you kind of, especially the first scene and the last scene, I really tried to be intentional with the shots that I used and the way that I let the story play out, where this last scene is kind of a parallel to the first scene, and him kind of going through this process of going through these stages of grief, I guess, kind of like Neil talked about, and coming to terms with letting this girl go. And we didn't ever really show why she leaves or why she's gone. And I'm not really going to explain exactly what happened because I want to leave it a little bit mysterious, but I think the point is a lot more about his journey. And I think that Neil's music really did that really well. Especially, I really love kind of the way that he took the theme that he established in the beginning and he kind of turned it into something new by the end, showing that the progression and the way that this character has changed just in these 5 minutes.
Great. Neil?
Yeah, so I think what the challenge was musically, it was the counterpoint with the dialogue, because the dialogue has a certain, and all the movie has a certain pace and rhythm, and although I wanted to stay in pace and to make room for stuff for the dialogue, and I wanted to be, it will be natural also. So I wanted to make room, but also to build something. And I realized that the music, when the the really like music with rhythm of I bringing the rhythm myself, is just in the end, and was understanding to say, okay, I'm really, in terms of rhythm and emotion and all of that, I'm in serve of the story, in serve of the emotions of Peter. And when I realized that, it was I really happy. I was really happy. And in the end, in the credits, I like let the music go and fly away. And sometimes maybe I thinking, oh, it's too sweet, but it's okay. It's in the end, and it's like.
Yeah, no.
But the counterpoint was really, I loved working on it. Just moving it a bit and also doing it live, like the most.
So much is right about what you guys chose to do in that scene. You know, in terms of the where you chose to get in, to have it become big was after you heard the hand slaps together. You know, rather than nailing it right on the slap, where you would you'd lose the first note of the music. Maybe you did it intuitively, but having it come a little bit after, you get the hand slap and you get the first note of the theme when it starts out big. And it's going for it there was absolutely the right choice, because we have taken this journey with this character and we see him having, let go and gone through the 5 stages, as you say. So to have our hearts lifted at that point by the music makes perfect sense. Also, where you had the spaces in the piano, as you say, under the dialogue, that's so important. I always try to do that under dialogue, is not have it continually play all the way through, because conversation is like that. It's not one thing all the time. It keeps going in the same rhythm all the time. It's flows of words, ebbs and flows. And so to have the music do something that's similar is exactly the right choice. So I think that one of the things that you guys were able to accomplish here is it's emotional without being syrupy, and I think that that's a real accomplishment.
Thank you, George. Thank you, everybody. I actually don't think I want to ask you questions. I want to let our students ask you questions, because they're the ones who are about to enter this field. And I just would like for you to tell us that one story that I've heard you tell, George, about the director who was giving you very specific instructions and he did not know what he was talking about. It had to do with time. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
What I remember, if musicians will know what fortissimo is.
Yes, that's it.
Forte is strong, dynamics. Fortissimo is double strong. It's 2 Fs, right? So that's a musical term. This director thought he knew some musical terms and he was dropping them all along the way. So I conducted this big action cue and came in and expected him to be very happy, and he wasn't. And I said, well, what can I do? I mean, they're already playing it, forte, they're playing it, really strong. And he says, and I said, in fact, they're playing it fortissimo, which is really strong. And he thought for a minute and said, tell him to play it 5tissimo. so literally, I went out and told the orchestra, we're going to have to play this 5tissimo. And, after 5 minutes of laughter, we played it 5tissimo. And ever since then, every time I have an action cue I want to be really strong, I put 5tissimo at the top.
So directors don't be that director. Do any of you have any questions you'd like to ask George while we have him here?
I guess I have one question. Like, what are the best things that a director can do when they're communicating with the composer to balance well between like articulating their vision and also giving creative freedom?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the main job of a composer is helping the director tell the story. That's it. And the composer is the music professional that's been chosen by the director to help with the music. Now, the music is just a third of the overall sound package in a film, right? There's dialogue, there's sound effects, and then there's music. So it's up to the composer to realize that they're not the chief sound component. They're simply one of the three that are helping the director tell their story. So I think it's up to the director to make sure that the composer knows what the sound effects person is doing and what the sound effects person is being required to do. I realize when I'm scoring a film, there's some sound effects person. If I'm working on a scene at 4 a.m, there's a sound effects person across town working on that exact same scene, and trying to give it their all. And so it's up to the composer to realize what a huge collaboration this is, and that the director is the head of that team. And it's up to the director to trust their own instincts in the fact that they chose this composer to begin with, and to give, okay, you've tempted with a cue from, I don't know, the last Spider-Man movie, and you like something about that. Well, make sure that you're able to convey to that composer what it is you like about that, other than saying it just works. If you can be as specific as you can be in dramatic terms, and if you need to be musical, try not to say fortissimo.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Question? All right, then. So everybody, just really quickly, directors, tell me what's next for your film. Are you about to start the festival circuit, or what's next? And then we're going to have to sign off at the end of our time. Sam?
Where'd you go?
What's next for me, you said?
For your film, for this film.
Yeah, for this film, I'm definitely entering it in as many film festivals as I can. Just really excited to share it. This will be the first film I'm actually confident in to share. I feel like as a director, you have to get over that hump of like, after you watch your film a million times, you're like, oh, I don't want to share it. I don't want to share it. But now I feel really, really confident, and I feel like this is the most professional project that I've done. So that's kind of where I'm at now. It's just this is my first time really being able to be proud of my work and like want to show it. So I'm glad Tom was able to help me with that.
Great. I am gonna I see that Miranda has her hand up, so I want to let her talk and ask her question before we go to the next ones of you, because I didn't see that before. Miranda, can you hear us?
I can, and I just enjoyed this so much. I didn't have a question, but I'm glad that I was able to listen to this wonderful emerging talent, and thank you, Rhonda.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay then, so Eli, tell us what's next for Stay and how we can find out what's really going on there.
Yeah, I'm also hoping to go on a little festival circuit in the next couple months, but it's also still a work in progress for us. So it could be more over like a year before it even hits the festival circuit. So I want to take my time with it, and I want to allow Zohar to take his time with the music and really make it the best possible way it can be. So you'll be seeing it definitely in the next year for sure. But
keep us posted.
I will for sure.
All right, Jackson.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to several film festivals. Unfortunately, film festivals are very expensive, and so I'm gonna try to budget it out and see how many I can send it to. I am currently working on a murder mystery film, which I'm putting more budget into, and so trying to figure out how I can send these both to a lot of festivals, because I'm really proud of this film, Let Go, and I think Neil did a great job. So hopefully we can win some awards with it. We'll see.
Well, I think you all did a great job, and I'm really happy with what you've all shown us, and I'm really happy with George for being here with us today. And also, George, I just constantly learn something from you every time you talk to us about film. I am astonished at what you guys notice about individual scenes. I love film, but I would never have noticed, although I'm sure I noticed it, I felt it. For example, when he pulled out the phone and saw something, that the music changed. And yet that's why you do what you do, George, and I'm doing this, bringing you all together. So I hope that you'll all keep working together, and I hope that you'll all want to come visit Israel with us as soon as we can put together our next trip. I think that would be amazing for you all to work with, to meet the composers you've been working with in Israel. That would be really cool. And so I'm glad that this program has worked well for you all to collaborate across 7 time zones. And thank you all for coming. And George, thank you so much for being here with us. And you're muted, George. Unmute yourself. George, you're still muted.
Here I am. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody. What a terrific job you did. And, you know, the fact that you did it remotely and it turned out so cool is just wonderful. And, you know, the language barrier, which obviously is not a barrier because the Israelis are speaking such good English. I don't know, maybe some of the directors speak Hebrew. I'm not sure. But anyway.
I met about it, so I don't think they do. I thought that was pretty cool that they were able to do that, and that's great.
It's just terrific.
All right, great. Well, everybody keep us posted. We really want to know what's going on with these films, and also with whatever else you're working on next. Thank you all for being here. George, especially, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Wendy. Great job.
George. Bye.
Thank you guys.
Yay, Wendy.
Bye.